Donald Trump's reaction was immediate, furious, and unmistakable. After a bipartisan group of 47 members of Congress formally demanded his resignation, Washington, D.C. was thrown into political chaos unlike anything seen in years. This was not a routine dispute, not a familiar partisan clash, and not another moment that could be brushed aside as political theater. The demand was triggered by a leaked classified memo alleging that Trump directly interfered with military operations for personal political gain while sensitive national security missions were underway. According to multiple sources who reviewed the document, the allegations strike at the very core of the president's constitutional responsibilities as commander-in-chief. At the heart of this crisis is the claim that Trump personally ordered delays in critical defense authorizations because the military commanders involved had not publicly endorsed his political agenda. This was not a disagreement over military strategy or policy priorities. It was, according to the memo, an explicit effort to use national defense as leverage to extract political loyalty. That distinction is crucial because it transforms what might otherwise be framed as aggressive leadership into a direct abuse of power with potentially catastrophic consequences. What makes this moment extraordinary is not just the severity of the allegations, but the reaction they provoke. Members of Trump's own party joined Democrats in publicly calling for a sitting president to resign. Such a development is almost unheard of in modern American politics. Congressional demands for resignation do not arise from ordinary policy disputes or ideological disagreements. They emerge only when lawmakers believe a president has fundamentally violated the oath of office and endangered the constitutional order. When Republican lawmakers break ranks to demand the resignation of a president from their own party, it signals that something profoundly destabilizing has occurred. Party loyalty, which normally serves as a shield in moments of controversy, collapses when the evidence is perceived as overwhelming. This is why comparisons to Watergate have become unavoidable. The last time the nation witnessed bipartisan momentum of this magnitude against a president, it ended in resignation. The tension that led to this breaking point had been building for months. Trump's relationship with Congress had steadily deteriorated amid repeated budget standoffs, accusations of executive overreach, and increasingly hostile clashes with military leadership. Senior defense officials reportedly grew alarmed by what they described as the politicization of military decision-making. Still, even with that backdrop, few expected the situation to escalate into an open bipartisan revolt. According to reporting published on December 28, everything changed when a classified memo was leaked to several congressional committees. The document, dated approximately 3 weeks earlier, allegedly detailed direct interference by Trump in Pentagon operations. According to lawmakers who reviewed it, the memo showed that Trump instructed his chief of staff to delay key military authorizations until certain generals agreed to appear at campaign rallies and publicly support his policies. The implications were immediate and severe. This was not about normal civilian oversight of the military. Civilian control of the armed forces is a cornerstone of American democracy, but it depends on good faith decision-making grounded in national interest. Using operational delays as a bargaining chip to secure campaign endorsements crosses a line that most lawmakers, regardless of party, recognize as unacceptable. It transforms the military from a professional institution serving the nation into a tool for personal political advancement. Members of the House Armed Services Committee reportedly reviewed the memo inside a secure facility where classified materials are handled under strict protocols. According to multiple sources, the reaction was swift and alarmed. Lawmakers from both parties immediately recognized that the conduct described in the memo could not be dismissed, minimized, or ignored. The stakes were too high and the potential damage too severe. It is important to understand just how rare this kind of response is. Members of Congress do not lightly accuse a president of endangering national security. They do not demand resignation unless they believe the conduct in question has fundamentally compromised the presidency itself. These are lawmakers who routinely tolerate political behavior they personally dislike in the name of institutional stability. For them to act collectively signals that, in their view, the situation had crossed a point of no return. According to multiple news organizations, including CBS, CNN, and Politico, a bipartisan emergency meeting was convened on December 27. 31 Democrats and 16 Republicans attended. The meeting lasted approximately 3 hours and focused entirely on the contents of the leaked memo. Lawmakers discussed not only what the document alleged, but what it would mean for Congress to remain silent. Republican Congressman Michael McCaul, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, reportedly told colleagues that the evidence was incontrovertible. According to sources present, he warned that failure to act would make Congress complicit in conduct that endangered American lives. His position carried extraordinary weight, given his history of defending Trump during previous controversies. Democratic Congressman Adam Smith, the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee, described the memo as evidence of a clear abuse of power. He reportedly emphasized that the alleged conduct was not merely unethical, but a direct threat to national security. According to those in the room, there was little disagreement about the seriousness of the situation. The debate centered not on whether action was necessary, but on what form that action should take. By the end of the meeting, the group agreed to draft a formal letter demanding Trump's immediate resignation. The letter was finalized and released publicly the following day. Its language was strikingly blunt. It accused Trump of violating his constitutional duties by subordinating national defense to personal political objectives. It warned that such conduct undermined military readiness, endangered service members, and betrayed the trust placed in civilian leadership. Reporters who obtained the full text noted how unusually direct the language was. The letter did not hedge, equivocate, or rely on euphemism. It stated plainly that American lives had been placed at risk. It framed the issue not as a partisan disagreement, but as a moral and constitutional crisis that demanded immediate accountability. The political shockwave intensified when the letter was read aloud on the House floor by Congressman McCaul himself. According to journalists present in the chamber, his voice visibly shook as he delivered the demand. He stated that as a military veteran and longtime supporter of the president, he could not remain silent when confronted with evidence that politics had been placed above the safety of American troops. That moment marked a turning point when a Republican committee chairman publicly breaks with a president from his own party over national security concerns. It fundamentally alters the political landscape. It signals to other lawmakers that defending the president is no longer the safer option. Instead, distancing oneself becomes a matter of political and moral survival. This dynamic undermines the familiar claim of a partisan witch hunt. Accusations of bad faith attacks lose credibility when members of the president's own party are leading the charge. The narrative shifts from partisan conflict to institutional accountability. That shift is what makes this episode so dangerous for Trump. History offers sobering parallels. During the Watergate scandal, Richard Nixon initially retained the public support of many Republicans. That support eroded only after evidence mounted that he had abused his power and obstructed justice. When Republican senators finally told Nixon he had lost their backing, resignation became inevitable. The comparison to Bill Clinton's presidency highlights a key difference. Clinton faced calls for resignation during the Lewinsky scandal, but those calls never achieved bipartisan consensus. Many Democrats believed the misconduct, while serious, did not directly implicate national security. As a result, party lines held. Trump's first impeachment over Ukraine came closer to testing that boundary. Some Republicans expressed private concerns, but public support remained largely intact. No Republican committee chairs broke ranks. Party unity, not evidence, determined the outcome. This time, the pattern is different. Republicans are not merely expressing concern, they are demanding resignation. That distinction cannot be overstated. It suggests that the alleged conduct strikes at principles that transcend party loyalty. According to legal and military experts who have commented publicly, the actions described in the memo violate fundamental norms of civil-military relations. The president is granted broad authority over military operations, but that authority is not unlimited. It must be exercised in the national interest, not for personal or electoral gain. The memo allegedly documents direct communication between Trump and his chief of staff, instructing him to delay authorization for 3 time-sensitive military operations. According to sources familiar with the missions, these operations involved intelligence gathering and force protection in hostile regions. Delays in such contexts can increase risk to personnel and compromise strategic objectives. Most alarming is the alleged inclusion of Trump's own words, stating that the authorizations should be held until specific generals agreed to appear at campaign events and publicly endorse his leadership. If accurate, this language leaves little room for benign interpretation. It frames military readiness as a bargaining chip in a political transaction. This places Republican lawmakers in an impossible position. Defending Trump means defending conduct that, according to their own committee chairman, endangered American lives. Condemning Trump risks alienating a base that remains fiercely loyal and views any criticism as betrayal. There is no coherent middle ground. Either the memo is accurate, in which case the conduct is indefensible, or it is fabricated, which would require believing that multiple senior lawmakers from both parties are lying about what they reviewed in a secure facility. That dilemma is tearing the party apart in real time. Legal analysts across the ideological spectrum have emphasized the gravity of the situation. Jack Goldsmith, a conservative legal scholar and former Justice Department official, stated that if the allegations are true, they represent a fundamental violation of the commander-in-chief's duties. Andrew Weissman, a former federal prosecutor, noted that such conduct could potentially violate federal laws prohibiting the use of government resources for campaign purposes. Even Jonathan